Hey Crypt Keepers, thank you so much for tuning into AmysCrypt today. I'm going to be spilling the controversial beans about the first time I ever had a psychic reading. I think this is going to shock some of you, surprise some of you. It's also something that you've asked me about. You're curious to know if I've ever seen a psychic and what they said to me. And I think that the outcome will shock you because it definitely shocked me. Okay guys, before we get too far into this, I do just want to give you a little bit of background information and context as to why I was getting this psychic reading. I would hate to think that anyone thinks that this didn't work out because I had the wrong intentions, or for people to think that I'm just here to bash psychics or expose people. That is not the purpose of this video. If anything, I wanted to act as a warning to some people out there, especially at this time where a lot of people are probably seeking guidance and help with the future. So as I had mentioned before, this was the first time I had ever had a psychic reading, and I was really excited about it. I was really intrigued about the possibility that there's people out there that have these different senses or these abilities, so to speak. And I mean, I've also had a lot of people doing the work that I do with the paranormal. So many people have told me, Amy, you have spirits attached to you. They'll look through my Instagram and tell me that they see spirits with me in my photos. People have even gone to my husband/camera guy, Jared, and commented saying, oh, he has a woman and a baby attached to him, which to me is strange because I don't see that. I can't pick up on that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to think about these people coming at me and saying there's spirits there with you. So that's just one reason why I wanted to see a psychic. Obviously, things didn't go as planned, but I was very intrigued and excited for this experience. So all that aside, all that excitement and intriguement, you guys know if you watch my channel a lot, I am quite skeptical of, not only the paranormal, but also the possibility that people are psychic. So to think that there's something this strange that people are able to do, I always side with caution when thinking about the possibility of psychics. But I do like the idea that there are people with these abilities that could see or sense something else or connect with the spirit realm. And I don't want that to make anyone think that, oh, this psychic reading didn't work for her because she has the wrong attitude and a negative attitude, because I'll tell you what guys, there is no one in the world that wanted this psychic reading to work out positively more than me. And I'll tell you the reason why. So not all that long ago, I was actually approached by an external company, and this company wanted to pay me for a sponsored video. So they wanted me to put an ad placement for their product in one of my videos to sell it to my audience. Now, obviously I would never do this without knowing the product well and testing it myself. And the product was online psychic readings. So I jumped at the opportunity because I'd always wanted to get a psychic reading. Also, I really do not make a lot of money on AmysCrypt. So this really would have helped me, because one thing that I love to do is travel to haunted locations and bring you guys more content, and this was seriously going to help me out. This would have been very nice for me to do this sponsored video. So just saying this openly and honestly, I was very invested in this going well. So I decided, you know what, let's give this a whirl. I could really use the money and I'll get the experience by, having a psychic reading. So I go through the list of the recommended psychics that were sent to me, and there were a lot there, and I looked through all their different types of abilities or things that they specialize in. So some are, mediums, so they can, talk to the spirit realm. Or there's others that focus in on topics such as, career advice or relationship advice. So I just went with someone who seemed fitting to the types of questions or things that I wanted to know. And then I organized a call and gave them a buzz. So the psychic that I chose was a lady, and I gave her a call. I was very nervous. So I get really weird in social situations like that. So I expressed that to her. I said, hey, I've never done this before and I'm actually quite nervous. I don't really know how to kick things off. Should I tell you something about myself, or should I ask you a question? And she was so blunt with me. She was not very welcoming or nice, like that friendly vibe. She really didn't give that off. She just said, asking a question would be a good start. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I'm just gonna dive in and ask her something, I guess. Now for me personally, one of the things that I'm most uncertain of and that I would really love to go well in my life is career. So for those of you who don't know, I work on AmysCrypt full time, and as I said before, I don't make a whole lot of money, but I put my everything into what I do. So I kind of asked, hey, how am I going career-wise? And what I'm doing right now is very difficult and very hard. Is it going to one day be a viable, career for me? Like, am I going to be able to make a livable income for myself? It struck me as strange, but her first question back at me after I asked this was, what is the initials of the company that you work for? And at first I was like, wait, do I say AC, like AmysCrypt? And I was like, oh, well, I don't really work for a company. I actually work for myself at the moment. And then she said, oh, okay, well then what's your birthday? So I tell her my birthday. And I just felt like that was a strange jump from the initials of your company to what's your birthday. And then when I told her my birthday, straight away she said, yes, you're doing very well. You'll be fine doing the same thing what you're doing now in the future. So I was like, oh, that's nice to hear. That's kind of what I wanted to hear, but it was just given to me, it delivered to me in such a strange way. But this isn't even like the kicker of our whole conversation. I did ask a couple of other kind of follow-up questions. I didn't really get much from her from asking those, but it was when I kind of directed my questions to the spirit realm that things took kind of a bad turn. Things got a little bit nasty with this lady. So as I mentioned before, I am kind of interested to know if there are spirits around me. There's just so many people who have told me that there are. And I also hear a lot of other investigators or people on YouTube talk about connecting with spirit guides or knowing that someone's looking over them. And that seems kind of nice. So I thought, I'll just ask her flat out. I said, can you see any spirits around me? Is there anybody with me? And she said to me, oh yes, I can see a woman. And she went off on this little bit of a rant about seeing an older woman with me. This woman is watching over me. She is protecting me. She is your grandmother. When I heard that, I thought, I need clarification. So I said to her, oh, my grandmother, is it my grandmother? She said, yes, the woman is your grandmother. And that is a bit weird to me. And because it's weird to me, which you guys will see why in a second, I said to this psychic lady, I'm sorry, I'm just really confused. I need clarification that this is my grandmother. And she said, yes, it's definitely your grandmother. And I said, well, I don't see how it could be because both of my grandmothers are actually still alive. So this was just kind of, I don't know, I just was confused at why she was saying this. So this is kind of understandably where things took an ugly turn. So this woman was completely shut off from me from that 1 second. She almost started to come at me to make me feel bad, as though I'd done something nasty to her. And I actually did feel really bad after talking to her and having this conversation. She said, look, every time that I connect with the spirit realm and I have these visions, it takes a lot of energy from me. And every time I do it, I end up getting a really big headache. And because you have just attacked me and come after me, I've cut off the vision with this spirit. I've disconnected from the spirit because you're not worth me getting a headache over. And I just felt terrible. I was like, oh, I wasn't having a go. I was just seeking clarification because, as I said, I was confused because both of my immediate grandmothers are still alive. I mean, I've worked in customer service a long time. I'm never mean to people, and I see this as kind of like a customer service interaction. There's no way I was rude or raised my voice or anything at this lady. I was just dumbfounded when she told me that my grandmother was there right with me. So, because I felt bad and I don't deal with confrontation heaps well, I apologized to this woman, which I kind of don't think that I had to or should have. And I just said, look, I'm sorry, maybe misunderstanding. What can you tell me about the woman that was with me? She's like, well, I've cut the vision off and I'm not going to have it back for you, but I can tell you what she looked like. She started describing the woman. She said she has short, curly hair. She's older. She spent a lot of time in the home because she had a really large family and she had to look after the family, which to me sounds like a very generic description of a lot of people's grandmothers. And then she said to me, I never said to you that this was your grandmother, which was a complete lie. And I had confirmed with her like 3 times that it was my grandmother. And she said, I simply said that this woman was a grandmother. It doesn't mean that she was your grandmother. She could be anyone's grandmother. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's just... I feel like I caught this person out in a pretty big lie, kind of a disgusting lie, and I just couldn't go on with the conversation anymore. I just said, look, thanks for the reading. I don't think that you can help me with any more of the questions that I have. And I said goodbye. I still had a lot of minutes left on this call and I just couldn't stand to talk to her anymore. She just wasn't friendly or welcoming. I mean, obviously she didn't have very good psychic abilities. She didn't tell me anything meaningful, and I feel like she just flat out lied to me saying that my grandmother was with me. So didn't have good psychic abilities, and she wasn't very personable. Like, I didn't feel comfortable talking to her about the personal things that I wanted to consult a psychic about. First try at having a psychic, reading, it just did not go very well for me. Then following this conversation, I started to think, okay, imagine all of the people that this woman has spoken to and consulted or given her readings to, that she has told, oh, your grandmother is with you. And for a lot of people, I'm so lucky that both of my grandmothers are still with me. For anyone who maybe has lost someone close to them, that could really strike a chord. And I was trying to imagine what it would have been like for me if I had lost my grandmother. Maybe there's a slight bit of comfort that you would feel, but it's so just deceitful. I still don't know how I feel about this whole conversation. Like, I'm still trying to process it. So obviously I cut ties with that sponsorship. I didn't want to support that on my channel. I was offered another sort of psychic reading with another psychic on the website, and they do say, sometimes it takes you a few tries to get the right fit. But I just felt like if I endorsed that to you guys, my audience, and then someone called up and had the same experience, it would just leave you feeling really, really about yourself, because I just felt like after talking to this woman, like I had done something wrong. That's how she made me feel, which is not the case. So all that aside, after this reading, I just felt really, really disappointed. I really wanted this to go well. Obviously I had the sponsorship opportunity, that would have been nice, but I had wanted to see a psychic for forever, really. Like, since I was a kid, I've been interested and intrigued by this, and if somebody told me something really amazing, like, that would just be so cool. And I hear about so many other people who have gone and seen psychics and they'll say, Amy, it was so strange and uncanny, they listed all this stuff about me, they told me stuff, and since they've told me that, this has happened and this has played out and I can't believe it. And then I go to one and I just get this. So it was disappointing, but I do think that it's kind of important to share at this time. Just as a warning, obviously I'm not going to name names for the psychic or the company. That would be bad of me. But guys, just take caution at the moment. Be careful with your time, money, energy, and just trusting and believing in the things that people are telling you and saying. I mean, sure, if you have a very trusted psychic or someone that you consult with, I think that is great. But just be very, very careful, because I don't know and I can't tell you that there are people out there who actually have these psychic abilities, and maybe it is true. I would love to I'm still open to having these readings and seeing for myself if they can tell me anything that's really valuable or just touching to me personally. But I can't tell you. I don't know if they actually exist. And I think that if they are out there, it's kind of unfortunate that there are probably even more people, or at least equal, who are taking advantage and saying, I am a psychic or I have these abilities. And you don't want to fall into that and just fall for someone's book basically. Now guys, I apologize. I realized this video might not have been very uplifting, but I am still curious about psychics. As I said, I still want to go and see one. Maybe someone has recommendations for me. I don't know, but I would love to know your opinions on them. Maybe you've had your own really interesting experiences that really were meaningful to you. I would love to hear about those in the comments, and I would love to hear if there's anyone out there who's had a bit of a doozy of a psychic reading such as myself. It will probably make me feel better because I've never heard of someone going to a psychic and them saying it was terrible, it was really bad. Maybe it's just that people only talk about and share the good and not, you know, the crummy ones, but I've never heard of anyone having something said to them like your dead grandmother is with you when their grandmother's undead. I do have some more news as well, guys. So before I go, I just want to like go throwback to one of my videos I did maybe like a week or two ago now, where I went and investigated Anstey Hill and I took a trigger object with me. You'll see my horse here, my little rocking horse in the background. I put it to you guys, my crypt keepers, what do you want to name this rocking horse? What do you want to name this trigger object? And so many of you guys left me recommendations on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and in the YouTube comments. There was so many people that left me recommendations and said, I want the horse to be named this or this, and that was just fantastic. Now there was a lot of people. I had Buster, Trigger, Ed, like there was so many different names that were thrown around, but the one that I feel was thrown around the most and that I think is really, really cute is Spirit. So thank you to all of the people that recommended Spirit. Thank you to everyone that recommended any name, but we're gonna go with Spirit. This guy's name now is Spirit, not Mr. Horsey, like I came up with on the fly while we were investigating. But I just thought that was something cute to like let you guys go with, so thank you. I really do appreciate that. I also hope that you guys liked this video. I know it's quite different to the types of content that I normally make, but you know, I just thought that this was something interesting to share, and someone asked me about it recently when I did a live Q&A, so I thought, you know, why not share this? It's quite timely. Beware, take caution, look after yourself, stay safe out there because the world is a very crazy place right now. We need to look out for one another. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this whole video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That really does help me out. If you want to read anything about any haunted places that I visited from all around the world, then head to my website, AmysCrypt.com. You guys can also keep up with me and what I'm doing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I also post bonus content on my YouTube memberships and my Patreon accounts, which are linked below. Thank you for watching, Crypt Keepers. Until next time.